Being born is a tragedy. Not metaphorically, not poetically, literally. You just don't realize it because you were trained, conditioned to believe that living is a privilege, that existence is some kind of cosmic gift wrapped in pain but sold as purpose. But you didn't ask to be here. Nobody did. One day, two adults, tired, confused, pressured, or simply obeying the script they inherited, decided that creating another life was a good idea. Or rather, they felt something, acted on desire, on impulse, on biology's whisper. And the result was you. The truth is brutal. Most people weren't conceived out of love. They were conceived out of accident, pleasure, boredom, curiosity, loneliness, or illusion. You weren't meant to be here. You were a byproduct. Yet without asking permission, without even considering your future, they pulled you out of nothingness and threw you into a world that is violent, unequal, unpredictable, indifferent, a world where you will suffer by default. And now, ironically, you are expected to be grateful for this? Expected to smile, to pretend life is a miracle, to eventually repeat the cycle and create another unsuspecting victim of existence? But what if everything you've been told is wrong? What if bringing someone into the world isn't an act of love, but the most disguised form of cruelty? Life is romanticized because if people saw it clearly, no one would continue it. From the moment you arrive, the indoctrination begins. You are born, you cry, you learn to walk. You go to school where you learn two things very quickly. The world is unfair and people can be cruel. You get bullied. You feel rejected. You discover that happiness isn't a guarantee, but suffering is. Then you grow up, you work, you get sick. You lose people you love. You feel the weight of existence break you in places no one sees. And after all that, society still tells you, have a child. It will give your life meaning. Why? Because that is how the cycle stays alive, through guilt, through tradition, through the illusion of purpose passed down like a hereditary disease. The truth is simple and terrifying. Birth is not a blessing. Birth is a sentence. Philosopher David Benatar called it decades ago. In Better Never to Have Been, he wrote that suffering is inevitable, pleasure is optional, and the unborn never miss life. Only those who exist suffer. And he's right. Every baby is a roll of cosmic dice, a gamble done on someone else's behalf. But now comes the question people avoid because it forces them into an uncomfortable mirror. Do you genuinely want children? Or are you trying to fill a void you don't understand? Are you recreating your childhood in hopes of healing it? Are you looking for emotional validation disguised as parenthood? Because here's the truth society buries under baby showers and Instagram pregnancy reveals. Most people have children for the wrong reasons. Ego, loneliness, pressure, fear of dying alone, boredom, social expectation, accidental pregnancy, and the need to feel important to someone, anyone. These are not malicious reasons, but they are not mature reasons either. Yet, if someone dares to say, I regret having a child, they are demonized. Regret in parenthood is treated like a crime, even though it is far more common than society admits. Having a child is the only irreversible decision you can make. You can quit a job, a marriage, a lifestyle, a religion, but you cannot undo a birth. Once you bring someone into existence, you have created a consciousness that will suffer, guaranteed. If you want the uncomfortable, unfiltered truth, listen carefully. You should not have children unless your reasons transcend your voids, your wounds, your insecurities, and your fantasies. But most people never stop to question themselves. Society answers for them. From childhood, conditioning begins. A girl holds a doll. She'll be a great mother one day. A boy helps a sibling. He'll be a great father. No one asks if she even wants children. No one asks if he's mentally strong enough to raise another human being. The decision is made long before the person becomes an adult. Parenthood is treated not as a choice, but as destiny. And anyone who deviates from this path is labeled selfish, immature, incomplete, or broken. But what is truly selfish? Having a child just because society expects it, or refusing to create a being who will inevitably suffer? Look at the people around you. Look at parents. Most are exhausted, overwhelmed, angry, resentful, broken, but forced to smile in public because society does not allow honesty in parenthood. Motherhood is sold as divine, fatherhood as honorable. But behind closed doors lie breakdowns, regrets, identity loss, financial stress, silent resentment, and the crushing pressure of being responsible for a fragile consciousness that didn't ask to exist. Elizabeth Benatar exposed this deception. Maternal instinct is more cultural expectation than biological truth. Women are pressured into motherhood long before they even know who they are as individuals. And when the child doesn't grow into the ideal project, disappointment festers. Because secretly, many parents hope their child will redeem them, surpass them, validate them. But children are not redemption arcs. They are not therapy. They are not emotional support systems. They are not legacy trophies. They are human beings with their own suffering, their own confusion, their own fears. And when the illusion cracks, parenthood becomes a silent battlefield. Mothers who feel guilty for not feeling the love they were told would come naturally. Fathers who regret the weight of parenthood but cannot voice it without shame. People who never healed their trauma trying to raise a child while bleeding internally. This is the part no one says aloud because society protects the fantasy, not the truth. Many children are not born from love. They are born from desperation, from fear, from conformity, from emotional hunger disguised as a biological clock. But here is the darkest truth yet. Most people don't want a child. They want a witness, someone to validate their existence, someone to cry for them at their funeral, someone to make their life feel like it mattered. This is not love. This is existential fear wearing a sentimental mask. Having a child is condemning someone to death, not immediately, but eventually. Between birth and death is a long corridor of experiences that no one escapes. Pain, loss, illness, heartbreak, betrayal, disappointment, confusion, anxiety, grief. This is life's silent cruelty. It begins without consent and it ends without choice. You are born into a body that can fail you at any moment, a mind that can trap you in fear, doubt, or depression, a world that is indifferent to your suffering. And throughout it all, society insists on calling this a miracle. But perhaps the miracle is that people keep pretending it's worth it. Having children is not a neutral act. It is a moral gamble. You are signing someone else up for a lifetime they did not ask for, and you cannot guarantee a single moment of it will be good. You cannot guarantee your child will be healthy. You cannot guarantee they will feel loved. You cannot guarantee they will be mentally stable. You cannot guarantee they won't face bullying, illness, heartbreak, addiction, abuse, trauma, loneliness, or despair. But you can guarantee they will suffer. At some point, in some way, suffering is a mandatory part of existence. The child did not choose this contract. They inherit it because someone else wanted the experience of parenthood. Ask yourself this uncomfortable question. Is it fair to create a life that is guaranteed to encounter pain? Society avoids this question because it demolishes the fairy tale that children bring meaning, joy, purpose, legacy, fulfillment. But what if that meaning is just a distraction from the truth? Adults create children to cope with their own mortality. Now let's talk about the modern world, because having a child in 2025 is not the same as having one 500 years ago. The planet is collapsing under human pressure. Climate disasters are increasing. Water scarcity is becoming real. Economic inequality is widening. Mental illness among young people is skyrocketing. Technology is outpacing human ethics faster than governments can regulate it, and people still think bringing a child into this chaos is an act of love? Imagine placing a newborn in the middle of a highway and hoping the cars will slow down out of kindness. That is parenthood in this century. We live in an era of climate anxiety, political division, economic instability, emotional burnout, existential dread. Yet society continues to romanticize the miracle of life, refusing to acknowledge the reality that the world is not prepared for more people, especially vulnerable, dependent ones. Every scientific report points to an unstable future. Children born today might live through mass migration due to climate collapse, food shortages, water conflicts, extreme heat waves, widespread unemployment due to automation, mental health epidemics, loss of privacy and autonomy, and yet the narrative persists. Having a baby is beautiful. Beautiful to who? To the parent who wanted the experience, or to the child who has to live the consequences? Environmental antinatalism asks a simple but profound question. Is it ethical to create new life when the future is uncertain, unstable, and increasingly hostile? This is not fear-mongering, it's statistics, science, and observation. But people don't want to hear this because the desire to reproduce is often stronger than the willingness to face reality. And then comes the emotional manipulation. You'll regret not having kids. You won't understand love until you have children. Who will take care of you when you're old? None of these arguments are about the child's well-being, they are about the parent's fears and insecurities. Let's talk about the psychology of reproduction, a topic society avoids because it exposes uncomfortable truths. Many people use children as a band-aid for emotional wounds. People who never healed their childhood create a child hoping to rewrite the story, but the wound doesn't heal, it multiplies. Or they use a child as a distraction from the emptiness of life. A baby becomes a project, a purpose, something to pour energy into so the adult doesn't have to face their own internal void. Or a vanity project, a mini-me, a living extension of the parent's ego and identity. Or a social requirement. Everyone around them has kids, so they do too, not because they're prepared, but because they fear being left behind. Or a justification for existence. When people feel purposeless, they create a purpose, a child. It's easier than confronting existential dread head-on. But here's where it gets darker. Parents rarely admit these motives to themselves. They convince themselves it's love, when in reality it's often fear, ego, or instinct wearing the mask of virtue. Now let's go even deeper, into the child's perspective. Every human being starts life in debt, a spiritual, emotional, existential debt. From the moment they're born, they're expected to justify their existence, to be good, to behave, to make their parents proud, to fit into a world they never agreed to enter. Some children spend their entire lives trying to meet expectations they never consented to. Some children spend their lives suffering silently because they don't want to disappoint the people who gave them life. Others grow up questioning why they were born at all. But society taught us this is ungrateful. Your parents sacrificed everything for you. But did you ask them to? No child chooses their parents, their circumstances, their genetics, their suffering, yet they are told they owe gratitude for being created. That is the emotional trap of existence. Now add to this the darkest truth. Every child is born into a world that will eventually break their heart. One day they will lose the people they love. One day they will experience grief so heavy it reshapes them. One day they will face illness, fear, aging, and death. That is the fate of every living being, a fate chosen for them, not by them. And yet, people continue the cycle because they cannot imagine life without repeating the blueprint handed to them. But the blueprint is flawed. It is soaked in cultural pressure, biological instinct, and emotional projection. Most people don't want a child, they want a story, a narrative that makes their life feel meaningful, something to hold on to when everything else feels empty. But children are not stories. They are not emotional anchors. They are not coping mechanisms. They are individuals who will one day experience pain so deep it will make them question the purpose of existence. And this leads to the final anti-natalist argument. The only guaranteed way to protect someone from suffering is to never create them. People don't want to hear this because it shatters the illusion that life is an inherent good. But if you strip away the sentimentality, the traditions, the romanticism, the cultural scripts, you're left with a simple truth. Life is a gamble where someone else pays the price. Many people don't actually want a child, they want a second chance, a redo of their own life, a living correction for the mistakes their parents made with them. The phrase, "I want to give my child everything I never had," is often code for a darker truth. I will use my child to fix what my parents broke in me. This is where the child stops being a human being and becomes a project, a redemption arc, a vessel for someone else's unresolved trauma. The cruel truth is that most of us were raised by people who should never have had children, people who reproduced not out of maturity, but out of pressure, instinct, desperation, boredom, or ignorance.
People who believed parenting was automatic, that love would appear magically, that sacrifice would feel noble instead of suffocating. But trauma is a mirror. It doesn't disappear. It reflects itself into the next generation. Trauma replicates, adapts, morphs, but it survives. In Alice Miller's The Drama of the Gifted Child, she exposes the emotional manipulation hidden in family dynamics. Children are used to satisfy the emotional needs of the parents while being told they are loved. Parents demanding gratitude for sacrifices they chose to make. Mothers suffocating because they were never allowed to be individuals. Fathers projecting perfection because they feel internally inadequate. This is transgenerational trauma. It passes silently from womb to womb, from childhood to childhood, from unspoken wound to unspoken wound. Every child becomes an emotional sponge for their parents' unresolved suffering, and no one talks about it. Many children are born from an unspoken trade. I will bring you into the world, and you will give my life meaning. The child becomes an emotional currency, a hope, a symbol, a bandage. The child grows up with a secret mission. Be the pride, be the cure, be the joy, be the proof that their parents' lives weren't a mistake. This is too much weight for small shoulders. Sartre once said, hell is other people. But perhaps the real hell is being raised by people who see you not as an individual, but as a solution. The child must not fail because the mother sacrificed everything. The child must be happy because if they're not, the father feels like a failure. The child must succeed because their achievements validate the parent's existence. This is not love. This is emotional captivity. If you don't treat your wounds, you become your parents with a different accent. You scream differently, but for the same reasons. You punish differently, but for the same insecurities. You parent with modern language, but ancient fear. Untreated trauma becomes family doctrine. It hides behind good intentions, birthday parties, school trophies, and phrases like, I only want what's best for you. But the best always carries the worst that the parents never faced in themselves. Having a child doesn't heal trauma, it multiplies its reach. And this is how the cycle closes. A broken person trying to fix their life through a child who has no idea what's happening and who will one day repeat the same mistakes unless they break the chain. The question that cuts deepest is not, do you want a child? It is, are you prepared not to use your child as anesthesia for your emptiness? Because if not, having a child is simply a more socially acceptable way of continuing harm. Being born is entering a game you never asked to play. Having children is forcing someone onto the board without warning them about the rules, the traps, the losses, the inevitable end. But what we're saying here isn't hatred of life, it's clarity, awareness, radical responsibility. It's the kind of love that refuses to romanticize the truth just to feel better about it. Now let's go deeper into the parents' secret emotions. There are mothers who regret motherhood but would rather die than admit it. There are fathers who feel trapped by responsibility and guilt. There are parents who fantasize about the freedom they lost. Parents who feel resentment toward the very child they swore they wanted. And this resentment never stays silent. It leaks out through tone, through absence, through distance, through pressure. A child can feel when they were not truly wanted. They feel it in the pauses, in the coldness, in the quiet expectations, in the invisible strain. Another dark truth, some parents use children to replace partners, to fill emotional gaps, to become their confidant, therapist, or emotional caretaker. This is parentification and it destroys childhoods. But society applauds it. Ah, he's such a mature child. No, he is carrying weight that broke an adult.
But the real child, the flawed, loud, emotional, complex human, that child often receives conditional love. And children learn to perform for approval, to hide their real emotions, to shrink their identity, to earn affection that should have been unconditional. This is why so many adults feel empty. They grew up performing instead of living. Now the darkest part, the world is becoming more psychologically hostile. Depression is rising, anxiety is skyrocketing, identity crises are increasing, loneliness is epidemic. Social media has turned children into comparison machines. Emotional resilience is collapsing. We are creating children in a world that trains them to feel inadequate. Having a child in this environment is like sending someone into a maze that keeps rearranging itself while the floor collapses beneath them.
And yet people still rush into parenthood because they mistake biological impulse for purpose. But there is no escaping the truth. Every child will one day confront the existential realization that life is finite, fragile, and often painful. Every child will one day ask themselves, why am I here? What's the point? What happens when I die? Why do people hurt? Why do we lose the ones we love? These questions haunt every conscious being, and the only reason they exist is because someone else wanted the experience of having a child. We do not bring children into the world to save them, we bring children into the world to save ourselves from loneliness, from emptiness, from insignificance, from death. But children are not shields, they are not emotional insurance, they are not vessels for hope. They are humans thrust into a world that will inevitably wound them. We like to pretend that having a child is the ultimate act of love, but if you peel back the sentimentality, the rituals, the tradition, the biological urge, you find something far more unsettling. Having a child is creating a being who will one day suffer, lose everything, and die. You can hide this behind soft lighting and baby clothes, but underneath the aesthetics is the same unchangeable truth. Every life ends in grief. Every child you bring into the world is a future adult who will experience heartbreak so deep it will scar their soul. They will watch people they love disappear one by one. They will feel loneliness, confusion, fear, sickness, aging, and the slow decay of everything they've built. And yet we call this love? But maybe the darkest truth is this: we don't actually fear death, we fear living long enough to face everything life will take from us. Most people will experience emotional destruction long before they experience physical death. Who hasn't lost something that shattered them? Who hasn't cried in silence, realizing how fragile life truly is? Who hasn't looked at the world and wondered why they were forced into it? Now imagine giving that same fate to someone else. We are taught to celebrate birth and mourn death, but what if that emotional logic is reversed? What if birth is the beginning of suffering and death is the release from it? Benatar doesn't say this to attack parents, he says it because it's logically consistent. Pleasure is optional, suffering is unavoidable. The unborn feel neither, the living feel both. Now let's go deeper into the existential burden of consciousness. Humans are cursed with awareness. We know we exist, we know we will die, we know time is eaten away second by second. Animals suffer physically, humans suffer physically and mentally. We possess just enough intelligence to understand our fate, but not enough to escape it. This is what Zaffe meant when he wrote, "Man is a tragic animal. He has too much consciousness to live as an animal and too little to live as a god." This is the true suffering of humanity, the awareness that everything ends and nothing is guaranteed to mean anything. Why give this burden to someone who did not ask for it? Now the illusion of identity. Every child grows into a person shaped by forces they never chose. Parents' trauma, environment, limitations. We like to believe in free will, but most of the choices we make are determined by wounds, conditioning, fear, and unconscious patterns. A child is not born free. A child is born into a maze of invisible scripts. Your beliefs, your values, your insecurities, your coping mechanisms, most of them were never yours to begin with. So when someone decides to create a child, they're not creating a blank slate. They're creating a vessel that will absorb everything broken, beautiful, or damaged within them. Antinatalism is not about hating life. It is about understanding the weight of existence. Most people are not prepared to handle their own suffering, so how can they take responsibility for someone else's? Now, the resentment of sacrifice. Parenting demands everything: time, money, identity, freedom, dreams, sleep, sanity. Many parents silently miss the life they had before. They miss spontaneity. They miss being an individual instead of a caretaker. They love their children, yes, but love doesn't erase resentment, it only buries it deeper. And children feel this even if it's never spoken. Next, conditional love. People insist that parental love is unconditional, but often it isn't. A child feels most loved when they perform correctly. Be quiet, be emotionally stable, be what the parent needs. Children quickly learn that affection comes with conditions. Approval is a prize. Pride is a reward. Love becomes transactional. This is why so many adults grow up unable to express emotions, afraid to fail, afraid to disappoint, afraid to be themselves. They grew up thinking love disappears when they stop performing. This is the silent psychological damage that comes from being born. Now, the forbidden resentment. The resentment children feel toward their parents for creating them. No one talks about this because it violates the sacred narrative. But many adults carry a quiet anger that they were forced into existence. They didn't choose their suffering. They didn't choose anything. and they walk through life with a feeling of being trapped in a body, a world, and a timeline they never agreed to. This is why antinatalism resonates. Now zoom out to the macro world. We are living in the most unstable century in human history. Political division deepening, displacement increasing, mental illness rising, meaning collapsing. This is not a world ready for new life. This is a world struggling to sustain the lives already here. Bringing a child into this reality is not love, it is hope mixed with denial. Hope is beautiful. Denial is dangerous. The future is uncertain, unstable, and unpredictable. Is it ethical to create a child who will live through a future you yourself are afraid of? People talk about having children as if the world is still soft, safe, dependable. It isn't. AI, climate collapse, economic instability, societal fragmentation, these shape the world children are born into. Love cannot stop climate disaster. Love cannot stop war. Love cannot stop suffering. Love softens life, but it cannot save anyone from it. And here's the final truth. The child you create may one day wish they had never been born. No parent wants to imagine this, but many people carry this silent wish, unable to say it. If you create a child, you must accept the possibility that they may hate the gift you forced on them, and you cannot undo it. Existence cannot be reversed. Antinatalism is not despair, it is responsibility. The responsibility to think before creating a consciousness that will one day confront the terror of being alive. It is not anti-life, it is anti-suffering. It is, in a strange way, the purest form of love, the love that protects someone from existence itself. If this video touched you, provoked you, hurt you, or brought you clarity, you've already contributed just by being here fully. Watching, reflecting, sharing, that's already powerful support. But if you feel this kind of content needs to exist, if you believe this conversation must continue with more force, more reach, more courage, consider becoming a channel member. You'll help this work stay alive and receive exclusive content, behind-the-scenes access, closer interactions, and early access to new videos. Another way to support is through Super Thanks, a simple tool, but one that makes a huge difference. It's like leaving a thank you in the form of momentum, a direct acknowledgement, a silent signal that this message resonated with you. None of this is an obligation, but if something here moved you and you want to give back, that's how. And if you can't right now, that's okay. Just by staying until the end, you're already part of this. This channel is for those who think, feel, and question. It only grows because you exist on the other side.